Hey guys, I am back with another video. Yeah, sorry it's been about a month since I uploaded my last one. I've had a fair few bits and bobs going off in my personal life, and recently I've had a really bad cold and I'm actually still deaf in this ear. I can't hear anything even though my cold's cleared, so I may have to go have that checked out because I literally, it sounds like, it's really strange, it sounds like my voice is inside my head, if that makes sense. It's really weird. It's like I've got a bucket on my head. I don't understand it. But what am I talking about today? God, I can get sidetracked easily. I'm talking about self-love. I'm talking about self-love. I'm talking about shame and toxic shame and this belief that people can get. This belief that I've carried with me for a while, that I've recently seen another side to, that you're just not enough. You're just not worthy. No matter what you do, you feel like it will never be enough. Now, a little story about this is I used to live in London. I actually started making videos when I lived in London, which was a couple of years ago. And when I would go on to the underground, the tube in London, what I would do is I would take onto the tube with me post-it notes, and I'd take pens as well, and I would stick post-it notes all over the inside of the carriage, and I would write "You are enough" on the post-it notes. I'd write them all over the place, and I didn't really know until recently why I was doing this. I was just writing, it just felt like the right thing to do, and at the time I told myself that London needs to hear this. But recently I've actually found out that it was me who needed to hear that. I needed to hear that. It wasn't necessarily London, although that may have been the case. My motivation for doing it wasn't that. It was that I was trying to create an environment that reflected back to me a message that I desperately wanted to believe about myself. And that story, that lack story, is something that I've carried with me for a while. It's something that has motivated many of my actions throughout my life. It has motivated a desire to constantly achieve and constantly be working on this transformational, transcendental process and this self-awakening and self-actualization and all this other stuff. But there's a paradox there. The paradox is that the belief that I had to fix myself was part of the belief that was the same belief that was keeping me feeling like I was broken. So I'm here to share a little bit of how I and how you can overcome this belief, because there's been a few different factors that have been part of the picture for me, and recovery from this has taken a while. And it's an I will say, it is an ongoing process. There are certain situations that bring this out of me, this feeling of, and I can tell when I'm triggered in that sense. I want to hide, and I don't want to look people in the eye, and my voice goes very light and shallow, and not very authoritative. I want to make myself less, and I don't want to take up space when I'm triggered in that sense. So it does happen. And I've not fully transcended it yet, but I will share with you a few strategies that help if you can identify with that. So the first thing I would say is you need to come out of hiding, because here's what happens. The things that you hide from other people, the traits, your quirks, certain things you may have done in the past, whatever it is, that you put that, when you try to hide it from yourself and don't admit it or whatever else, you put that in your shame closet. Excuse me. You open your shame closet, you stick it all in there, you shut the door, and that shame closet can hold a fair amount of stuff, right? But over time, that shame closet starts to get really full, and the locks on the shame closet start to not work anymore. There's too much pressure from the inside, and eventually the door's going to burst open, and then whatever the hell happens as a result of that, some big argument, some big shame dump or whatever it is. So you need to come out of hiding, but you don't just come out of hiding to everybody, and I've made this mistake a few times, because when you're coming out of hiding, when you are taking all that stuff that's in your shame closet and you open the door on purpose to someone, you're in a vulnerable place. And if that person does not have the capacity to receive you non-judgmentally, then the reaction could be a harsh one. And that will cause you to go, shit, and slam that door shut with the added extra of, I opened my shame closet to someone and they rejected me for it. So that could hurt you even more than you were previously. So you come out of hiding, but you do so to people who you trust. You do so to your select few, the people who have earned your trust in that sense. Your close ones, your sacred band, your close tribe. If you don't have a close tribe, if you literally have no one in that sense, see a therapist. One of the best things I ever did was started seeing a therapist about a year ago for this exact reason. Because the belief we have about ourselves, this inner critic, this dialogue that we're not enough, that was likely something that was told to us either explicitly through words by either a caregiver or whatever else, or it's something that our environment told us, whether we were embarrassed at school or we were mistreated by somebody, whatever the case is. We have built up a narrative that involves other people and was fed and given to us by other people that we're not enough. So therefore, the deepest healing that can occur in this area is through our interactions with other people also. So come out of the closet and do so carefully and cautiously with people, and do so consciously, I would say, with people who you deem have earned your trust in that respect. Or you could just say feck it and just come out of the shame closet to absolutely everybody, and just harden yourself up that way, which has been done, and it's something I have done to a degree in some way, but I wouldn't recommend it for everybody. I wouldn't recommend it for the majority, at least. Another thing I would say is it would help if you became more consciously aware of the thoughts that were happening, the thoughts that were coming up, the story that feeds this narrative that you are not enough, that you are defective or flawed. We can't really transcend something. We can't really work on something or move on from something in this way if we don't know what it is we're actually facing. So what's happening is there's a story running in the background. This story comes from likely a long time ago, because this kind of stuff is like inner child work stuff, isn't it? So it likely came to you a while ago, but what you need to do is you need to find what the narrative is, find the story, bring it back up into consciousness and re-experience it and re-examine it as an adult. And this doesn't necessarily mean go into your past and dwell there, which is a mistake I've made as well. You don't need to do that. You do, however, need to find what narratives, what thoughts you're having consistently about yourself, and examine them honestly as an adult, as an awake, conscious being, and ask if they have real validity. Find out. It's helpful to build awareness around this too, because the shame triggers we have, the shame-based story, is often also fed by other people and comparison with other people too, which is why social media doesn't help the picture at all. Which is why I've got a lot of videos on my channel critiquing or helping people with social media addiction or smartphone addiction, which is something I've been battling with as well. So yeah, come out of hiding, build an awareness around the thoughts and the story surrounding it, so that you can re-examine it as an adult and see it openly, honestly. See, awareness awareness is the key here. I've got another video on my channel where I must have said the word awareness at least 12 times in one video. so whenever I say awareness, I just get an image of that video once again. But yeah, it's right there. But yes, come out of hiding, build an awareness around the story. Obviously meditation helps with that. Another thing that just came up, I haven't wrote any notes for this, another thing that just came up that's really important, and this is something, okay, this is something that never really worked for me, is finding mantras and phrases you would say to yourself, like, I am worthy of love, I am loved, and all these other things. They helped to a degree, okay? But I only really started to see results in the way that I saw myself, my self-image, when I started acting that out, when I started behaving as though I loved myself and as though I was worthy of love and worthy of, just worthy. When I started behaving in that way, that's when I started to notice a change, a genuine shift in the way that I started to see myself. So I've always gone to the gym, I've always kind of taken care of myself, but it came from a place of lack, so it never really felt fulfilling in and of itself. But one thing I always struggled with was that I could be a people pleaser. I could let people get away with shit. I could get disrespected, even subtly, but I would let people off the hook. Countless times I'd let people off the hook. I just wouldn't say anything because I'm like, I can empathise with another person's frame of reference, sometimes way before my own, which is really bizarre, but I would do it. I'd people please for a long time, let people off the hook and just see things from their point of view. But what I would do is I would be shooting myself in the foot. I'd be taking this myself, and I can't even call the deepest core layer of who I am, and I can't even find a word for it. The spirit, the soul, whatever the fuck, whatever it is. And I would be suppressing this in favour of other people's approval and not rocking the boat. And that action or inaction over the course of time eventually communicated to myself through behaviour that I'm not worth the respect. I'm not worth people respecting my boundaries, respecting my space. No amount of mantra, no kind of mantra, no phrase, however often repeated, would ever cure or would ever fix that. Because my behaviour cyclically, like, I would constantly be acting in this way, and every time I would let someone off the hook and let someone just disrespect a boundary, either consciously or unconsciously, it would be just another reassertion that I wasn't worth it. And I couldn't just slap a mantra on that. So, what I'd suggest is that you take a look at your assertiveness. If you're lacking in self-worth and you feel like you're defective and you're flawed and you don't want to be seen and you're shrinking, then it's helpful for you to get a set of teeth. It's helpful for you to develop an assertiveness, and a kind of assertiveness where you don't overstep other people's boundaries, but you firmly become aware of your own and you're able to assert that, even if it may hurt another person's feelings. Because through that action, you're prioritizing yourself. And when you begin to act and shift the way you act in this way, you'll communicate to yourself something very powerful, that you deserve to have your boundaries respected. So let's recap all three of those. 1, come out of hiding to people who you trust. 2, develop an awareness of the story or an awareness of the thoughts or the narrative in general, and re-examine it through the eyes of an adult, of a conscious adult. So hopefully you can change the story. And 3, develop an assertiveness, watch your behaviours, watch how other people treat you, and be willing to rock the boat. Oh, and here's a bonus one. This is related to other people as well. Be mindful, this is a bonus one because this is also important and it just came up. Be mindful of the company that you keep. Now, we are quite malleable. We're quite socially and emotionally malleable creatures, in the sense that we take on the opinions of the group because we're quite tribal creatures. So if the group has an opinion, we're more likely to take on that opinion. So if a person, say for instance, you're in a relationship where a person doesn't accept certain parts of you or shames certain parts of you or whatever else, just as an example, over time you will start to take on that narrative for yourself. And I know some of you are going to be able to relate to this. You eventually adopt the narrative of the person that you're in a relationship with because you value their opinion and their approval, because you love them or you like them. And the same can be done with friends. The same can be done with family. The same can be done with anyone you want the approval of. So what I would say is, be mindful of the company that you keep, and if necessary, make changes in this area. If you start to assert your boundaries and you start to come out of the closet, your shame closet, and it's not received well consistently, and they just cannot accept you for who you are, and they just cannot respect your boundaries, and they continuously try and shame you and keep you down, as it were, change that. Change that, because the longer you keep them around, the more consistently and the more frequently you're telling yourself you don't deserve better, which is not the case. Okay? So there's your bonus tip. Be mindful of the company that you keep. Guys, I think I'm going to leave it there. Almost a 20-minute video. What do you reckon, eh? So I'm sorry, I've been away for 4 weeks. I uploaded that meditation video, but that didn't really count. Forgive me. I've just been reassessing the plot forward. I've been finding myself. I haven't necessarily been hiding, but I have been re-strategizing, coming to a deeper love for myself. Yeah. If you've managed to make it all the way through the video, brilliant stuff. Guys, it means the world to me that you consistently watch these videos. I long to have a tribe of people like yourself, online or offline, one day, where we can share ourselves openly and honestly with each other. I still don't know what form it's going to take, how I'm going to help you online and still manage to earn a living for myself without selling out. But it's going to happen. I'm going to do something for you guys. I'm going to really help. I'm going to really help people. Like, really help them. Because right now, as I say, I'm a health coach. I'm a personal trainer. I help people with their health and their fitness and stuff. But like, there's something deeper here. There's something way deeper here. Some deeper way I can help you. I haven't found out what it is yet, but I promise you that I will. Guys, I love you. Yeah. I'm getting all teary-eyed. Look, I feel it. I feel that warmth. I really feel that warmth for you. I just hope this has helped. Take care of yourselves and have yourselves a really nice day. Oh, and Instagram, Facebook, all that bollocks.